want to get into before. Now,
gosh.
people saying, are you going to talk about the Green Deal, the Green New Deal? I didn't have time to read through all of it before this show. It does seem pretty insane. And it does lead me to the point that I do want to discuss tonight, why I believe that President Trump is going to be reelected. And the main reason for this is that Democrats keep giving him gifts. They wonder, like, how he won in the first place. You hear that a lot. Like, how did Donald Trump, how could he have possibly won? And how could he possibly win again? I'll tell you exactly how. The left continues to give this man gifts. He really is. There's like a Chauncey Gardner effect. He's not necessarily doing everything right. They're just doing everything wrong. And he looks brilliant by comparison. So I do think that the State of the Union, which occurred this week, showcased exactly what I'm talking about, just how far left the DNC has gone. And by the way, this is something that's important to note. 76% of Americans approved of the speech. What's really bad for Democrats is that 81% of independents approved of the speech. I think we have overlays from this from YouGov. And the more that the left continues to push their agenda toward the left, the Democrats, I should say, pushing their agenda toward the left, the more likely it seems that these independent voters who everyone said Trump just has this ceiling. Right. He has this ceiling and it's his base. Well, the truth is his base, actually, those are the people who had the biggest problems with President Trump. We'll get into those in a second. It seems like the independents, actually the people in the middle, are really starting to thaw on the guy. Yeah. And you had 81% of them to support the reality show guy. Yeah. Like, think about this for a second. How badly must you screw up that the guy who is literally trademarked, "You're fired," is beating the crap out of you? Let's go through kind of 4 examples. I think this is one that's really important recently, late-term abortion. So here's a clip where President Trump called for legislation to end the late-term abortions, and he mentions Northam's discussion of killing babies after birth. This is an important clip for people to see. Here you go.
Yeah. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in a mother's womb.
There are people who refuse to stand at that. Think about this for a second. You're an independent, you're watching, he's going, let's at least agree to stop babies that could feel pain being ripped apart in the womb, okay? Right? And then they're like, no. You're going to sit on your hands for that? Do you have any idea how the optics look? And here's something that's really important. I think maybe you guys aren't necessarily, because you weren't really like political junkies in the last election, and I know you'll vote in the next election, but Trump, by the way, was pro-choice. Yeah. Up until he ran as a Republican effectively. And conservatives were really leery of him because of that, right?
Yeah, we didn't think he was conservative.
They didn't think he was conservative. No. And so Donald Trump found himself in a pickle in the primaries, particularly because he had to appeal to his base, the conservatives. He had to prove to them that he was pro-gun, that he was pro-life, while still appeasing moderates. And that's hard to do when they think that you can't win over either of them. Now, again, the Democrats have given him a gift, and that he can now appeal to his pro-life base and even to moderates who just don't want to see babies being born alive killed. All he has to say is, hey, a 40-week-old baby being chopped to the head, bad. And he wins everyone who's not Cortez. That's all that's required. Think about that for a second. Yeah. All the Democrats had to do was say, hey, most Americans are relatively pro-choice because it's a term that we created to trick them, and some of them are stupid. So let's go with that. And instead they said 40-week abortions, right? 40 weeks? And Donald Trump was, I'm calling your bluff. So another example here where the left has lost all ground is pushing for open borders. So in the State of the Union, Trump mentioned ICE rescuing women and children from sex traffickers. Watch what... I mean, Ocasio, Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria, Cortez refuses to clap for this. Here's the clip.
More than 1,500 sadistic traffickers have been put behind bars.
This is just like, that's, everyone is clapping.
Yes. You should be.
Look, you got people on the right and the left. Wait, what?
Stone cold face.
How should I, I'll get up.
That's insane.
I'll get up for stopping sex slavery. I don't like him, but I'll go up. Like, you've just handed him a gift. By the way, they were wearing white for women's rights.
You gotta clap if you're wearing white for women's rights.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who are you wearing? I am wearing white for women's rights. Accept all the underage hookers against their will. I'll see you at the halftime show. And here's the thing, not even talking about the sex trafficking, okay? That's one that, again, if you have to play the game in politics. Everyone knows this a little bit. We don't like it, but when someone says, ending sex trafficking. Even if you go, well, hold on a second, I know that Cortez, when she's talking about ending sex trafficking, is actually attached to the Green New Deal bill, and that's actually about 70% tax, so I don't like it. But she did say end sex trafficking. All right, I'm going to clap just because of the optics, and I'll talk about it later. They didn't clap at that. But if you go even further into the issue, a new CBS poll shows that 72% of Americans agreed with Trump specifically on immigration anyway. Here's them saying it.
Just in from our CBS News instant poll here following the president's State of the Union. 76% of speech watchers said they approved of what they heard.
I'm very surprised.
That's a large percentage there.
I'm very surprised that any of these percentages are true. That's why I had to play that clip, so you would believe that I'm not just saying it. Let me just paint a picture for you. Just a moment here, okay? I'm trying to actually wrap my head around this. They fact checked.
It's really hard to do.
It's like when they fact checked Donald Trump, where he said we had burgers stacked a mile high at the White House. They're like, actually, he did not have burgers stacked a mile high. As a matter of fact, they were placed in more of a horizontal spread, really. One couldn't account for the vertical metrics because of the buttons and depending on the temperature of the room. It's like, you're a
Exactly.
But think about this for a second, okay? The guy who said you could do whatever you want, you could grab by the and disgusted a whole nation, now has the moral high ground because you've decided to vilify him because he's against sex trafficking and he had the number off by 2%.
Yes.
You've given him a gift. Another one. You couldn't possibly make it easier for him. Now everyone forgets about the grab by the and you go, actually, that 33% of people who are raped when they try to get here against their will, it's 31%. You better get in line, President Trump. And all he needs to say is, you're a piece of shit. And they're like, you know what? I kind of am. Yeah, let me just walk out this door here. I should almost be prioritizing the women who are being raped. Here's the second example before we get to the prime example. The left, of course, is pushing socialism. This is another reason I think President Trump is going to win. They're outright pushing it. Remember when it used to be veiled?
Yeah.
Where they used to, like, when people said, we think that Barack Obama is kind of a socialist.
Right, yeah.
Socialism is actually, it's a dog whistle. It's the N-word is what it means. Yes. Remember when they said that? It's like, no.
It's no,
we think he's a socialist. Like, by the way, there are people like in Norway who are socialists too. They're not black at all. They're actually like really white and really strong for some reason. We have no idea as to why yet. We're still running some genetic testing, but we actually think that Barack Obama is like a Norwegian socialist. That's it.
No.
Trump just said that we're never going to be a socialist country. And look at who refuses to applaud. Here you go.
Socialism in our country.
Yeah, boo.
America was founded on liberty and independence and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free.
Hey, wait for it. Sounds good. Freedom. Sounds good.
Here it comes.
Wait. Son of a bitch! Oh, holy shit! They have a close-up! I should have anticipated this and not planned poorly my afternoon nap. Cortez, where were you? You were my number 2. I just like
That's one of the best zoom in close-ups in the history of presidential speeches.
He looks like Grumpy Cat had sex with a crazier, older Grumpy Cat. Let's think about it. The stars of the Democratic Party: Bernie Sanders and Ocasio, Nina Pinta Santa Maria Cortez. These are the stars.
Yeah.
They're actual socialists. She actually thinks that she's going to pass some kind of 70% tax. I don't know. She explained it somehow.
The notion of socialism to that particular regime, what do you think about the president, why he did that?
Well, I think that he needs to do it because he feels himself losing on the issues. Every single policy proposal that we have adopted and presented to the American public has been overwhelmingly popular, even some with a majority of Republican voters supporting what we're talking about. When we talked about a 70% marginal tax rate on incomes over $10 million, 60% of Americans approve it.
No. What? Just a majority of Republicans support socialism.
What?
I thought this was well known. Hey, you person next to me, is this well? It's not well known. I don't know what I'm saying, Chris Matthews.
She probably went to Watts or something.
Let's be honest here.
Oh my gosh.
Do we have to act like that sounds like an intelligent woman?
No.
Do we have to pretend? Here's the thing. Nancy Pelosi doesn't sound like an idiot. I think she's wrong. I think she's the only person in politics who's proactively evil, but she doesn't sound like an idiot. Hillary Clinton doesn't sound like an idiot.
No.
This girl sounds like a moron. Think about socialism. No matter how great you think the government is at giving you free stuff, people still don't want higher taxes. We started with the prank calls this week where we called black businesses.
Yeah.
They're like, would it make you more or less likely to support Governor Northam than he supports increased taxes? I don't want to pay more taxes.
No, man, no.
I want, like, the opposite of that. I think the greatest example, of course, of the gifts that the left has they've been giving Donald Trump, and I hope they do it again in 2020, is they ran Hillary Clinton in a general election.
Yeah.
Likely the one person Donald Trump was capable of beating at that time. Trump polled very badly for people who forgot this leading up to the election. Almost every single pollster got it wrong because he was polling so badly. And he's been receiving nothing but hostile media coverage since. Here's the thing. The choice in 2020 is very different from 2016. You were not a Trump guy. Nope. And I was not a Trump guy in the primaries.
No, we argued about it.
We argued about it because I remember saying, well, listen, if he does win, he's going to be the guy at that point. But he wasn't my guy. I liked Carly Fiorina. I liked Ted Cruz. Yeah. So the choice, though, in 2020 is very different from 2016. 2016, a lot of people thought that both Hillary and Trump were kind of taking us toward a cliff. Mm-hmm. I think Ben Shapiro summarized it as though the concerns of many, by the way, he said the fear was that if Trump got into office and he did a bad job, it'd be like we're heading toward the cliff, just as we'd be heading toward the cliff with Hillary Clinton. But with Donald Trump, there would be no break.
Right.
Because no Republican would be elected after Donald Trump if he did as bad of a job that many people anticipated, myself included, in the primaries. I remember saying, like, I think we deserve to lose if we run him in the primaries. Yeah. Of course, when he was against Hillary Clinton, I mean, listen, come on, you just have to take the free shots when you're given them. People thought Hillary Clinton, though, was ultimately a politician, right? That's what people didn't like her. They thought she's a politician, but as leftists go, relatively moderate. That's the thing with Hillary Clinton. Yeah. This idea, she wasn't there was Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Trump, on the other hand, people also thought, a lot of people think because he says bad words, that he's somehow extreme. He was actually seen as really pretty moderate and not that conservative. So a lot of conservatives weren't big fans of Trump. As a matter of fact, I think you'll be surprised when you look at those voting blocks. Evangelicals voted for Trump because they had to, but not all of them. Probably, likely fewer in a lot of municipalities, but you saw a lot of union voters who would have typically gone Democrat. The Blue Dogs go for Donald Trump. So a lot of those people held their noses, though, the Christians, the true conservatives, and voted for Trump because Hillary Clinton was such an insufferable bitch. That's really why. But now in 2020, we're choosing between Donald Trump, who's been really pretty conservative, if you look at him as a president, outside of the trade issues.
And pretty good.
And all Democrats, who have swung so far to the left, their right nut hasn't seen them in a month.
God, that hurts.
It's not that literal. We know they want abortion up to 40 weeks, 70% tax rates, as you just saw, completely socialized healthcare. They want to destroy our economy on principle versus Donald Trump, who has done well by nearly all metrics available to us at this point, besides tweeting mean words, some of which are misspelled, let's be honest. But outside of that, he's done pretty well. The choice in 2020, when they say it's stark, they're, well, we think there's a stark contrast between the Democrats and Donald Trump. It is. But in a positive way for Trump, because these gifts that the Democrats keep giving him. So when Republicans say that we need to be more moderate, this is something people have to hey, listen, we need a more moderate Republican Party. We need to come to the middle. I go, hold on a second. Look how far the left is going. Don't stare a gift horse in the mouth.